Alrighty, welcome back everyone. It is LaughNgamez here. I'm back with another Starcraft 2 1 versus 1 bot AI cast. We have got ourselves what should be a good one here today, as it's gonna be Deimos taking on negativeZero on the map Automaton, the AI edition. So what we have here today is the two best Protoss bots, I think it's safe to say. They are just incredibly good when it comes to playing StarCraft 2. They're both just absolute killers. They tend to get a lot of early damage done and just have incredible unit movement. So we're going to see which one of these two comes out on top. And yeah, as always, ladies and gentlemen, make sure to go ahead and click that like button if you haven't already. You guys are the best at it. You always blow it out of the water, which is amazing, and I'm very grateful for. So if we could hit, let's see, random mineral number 39 likes on this video, that would be amazing. Leave a comment down below saying more bots if you want to see more of these bot matches, as I certainly enjoy casting them. And then subscribe if you're not already subscribed. I put out daily casts here on the channel. And yeah, I also have a second channel you guys can check out. I just cast an awesome 2v2 with Cyril and Euthermal. So yeah. Also, big thanks to the bot author that sent in this replay. If you happen to have any replays you want me to cast, feel free to send them my way, as it does do the job of sort of pre-screening the games for me, which is always appreciated. And let's see where this one goes. We've got a PvP, 2 adepts on the way for both of these bots. So it's potentially going to be one of those adept showdowns. These bots could be tested and how well they prevent adepts getting into their base. It seems to be some work that both Protoss, well, most Protoss bot authors have done, which is to build a pylon or something in order to prevent adepts getting into the mineral line, because humans have a hard enough time chasing down adepts that get into their main base, let alone bots against bots that will basically micro the adepts endlessly. We have got probes heading on home after the early game scout, as these two adepts are going to potentially meet in the middle. Looks like Deimos are a little bit more grouped up. They do meet in the line of sight blockers, and they both just shade right on by each other. We've got 2 stalkers on the way for negativeZero. Deimos has already got a shield battery building in its wall. And so both bots are going to be walling this off. negativeZero's is a little bit later. It does have a stalker out to start shooting at the adepts. Meanwhile, the adepts of negativeZero do kill off a probe, but then they're just shading around all over the place. Looks like 2 of them are fighting out on the map. But so far, nothing too significant going down, just a probe dying on each side. Deimos notably does let its shield battery finish, so it will have to kill that at some point. negativeZero also lets its battery finish. A very practical approach when it comes to programming your bot, because having your bot cancel a building and try and just place it down at the right timing is probably a recipe for disaster. These adepts are shading all over the place as 2 against 1. It does seem that on the map Automaton, quite a few bots do have some logic issues when it comes to the pathing, in the sense that they just kind of ignore the fact that there's high ground they can be shot from. The constant shading of these adepts is definitely hilarious, as it's 2 against 1 right now, although there's lots of support from the high ground. But Deimos does grab one of negativeZero's adepts, but it's an adept for an adept on each side of the map. Meanwhile, negativeZero is building up quite a nice immortal count, as Deimos is just going for stalkers for itself. It's got 1 immortal out. There we go. Now building its second. So going to be an immortal stalker versus immortal stalker 1 base. Eventually these bots will elect to break out. Deimos is still just poking on negativeZero's side of the map with the adepts, although they keep getting shots from the high ground. Looks like negativeZero did get an adept into Deimos's main. I assume that battery was killed, as Deimos may want to start moving on out. negativeZero does break down its own wall, so now both of these bots can be free. and we'll just see whether there's going to be an expansion coming out of either of them, as one of those adepts does get hunted down, the other is being chased. It does complete its shade, though, and makes it into the main, although it does get cut down by a zealot, which is not something you see every day. A zealot without charge killing off an adept. And now negativeZero is going to be pushing across the map. It's got a higher immortal count by 1. However, Deimos will have the home field advantage of production, so it's probably going to be 3 immortals against 3 immortals. There is also more stalkers out for Deimos, as it invested in a few more of those. So negativeZero may have a bit of a hard time making this push happen. The high ground also worries me a little bit. So far, nothing is shooting down on it from the high ground, but it may just be a matter of Deimos repositioning. negativeZero is going to go up that ramp as these two bots are clashing. It's pretty much about as mirror as a bot versus bot match goes, with 2 programmers. I mean, programming different bots, but then arriving at a similar conclusion. So far, Deimos does kind of delay its defense, though, as it loses its cybercore and its gateway, not really utilizing that high ground properly. Now it's got a better concave to handle this. However, Deimos losing the cybercore is definitely going to delay it. It's lost quite a bit of production. We'll see if it ever resumes that or not. However, an adept in the mineral line is also disrupting some of these probes. So Deimos really starting to float a bit of money. This is not ideal for the red Protoss bot. It's still holding the line with this, but production tab is really quite silent right now for Deimos. It may need to get rid of the adept before it feels comfortable building something else. It does build another gateway. No more immortals have been produced. negativeZero does have quite a few of its units stuck in this corner, though, and these 2 bots are quite afraid to engage each other, it seems. I mean, negativeZero, though, its attack is working, as it has been able to get some nice pickoffs. Deimos can't even refire up its cybercores. It's got to wait for a new gateway to finish. The red Protoss is really on the back foot in this match, though, as negativeZero's attack just really wasn't responded to quite as efficiently as it needed to be. Units lost. I mean, negativeZero has lost more units, but it's killed all those buildings. We'll see if Deimos can hold this ramp. Army supply is in favor of negativeZero, though, so that's quite concerning. Of course, there is the defender's advantage, but Deimos just hasn't really been producing enough units. It's getting a cybercore on the way now. Production really has paused for the red Protoss. negativeZero has lost one of its immortals as Deimos does micro it back. These are the 2 best, or 2 of the best bots when it comes to how well they position their units. You can sort of see the groups deciding when to engage each other, when they can't, sort of thing. And yeah, Deimos does actually hold off that attack, as negativeZero kind of overcommitted there and did not get very good army versus army trades. I mean, 3 stalkers for 11, and then 4 immortals died for basically nothing. There was the nice delay on the cybercore and everything. There was a few probes killed, but all in all, Deimos now has a much superior army and is actually going to be going on the counterattack. negativeZero does unfortunately have a stalker caught between 2 of its pylons. That's something that plagues even the best bots, is trying to program your bot to not get its unit stuck. It's a lot more difficult than it seems. Deimos is pushing on in. So far, that high ground isn't being used as negativeZero elects to go down to the low ground to take this fight. It's got a bit more of a rounded composition with some sentries, with an immortal and zealots in the mix to help buffer. But look at this, Deimos just fans out its army incredibly well, so negativeZero is in quite a bit of trouble. Guardian Shield does get popped, and yeah, things are looking quite rough for negativeZero, as Deimos is going for a counterattack. The zealot just gets destroyed. That's a lot of firepower. Does negativeZero have its own immortal out? It doesn't look like it, so simply not enough units to defend so far for negativeZero. And this is quite a rough position for the blue Protoss bot. Just the counterattack really has hit it hard. Meanwhile, Deimos is mining back at home with a Nexus that's starting to get saturated. And negativeZero, it's got 1 stalker and 1 adept. Production has really just cratered as these bots have mined out so quickly. That's one of the things. The bots, they mine a little bit quicker than regular Starcraft players, so that means they mine out faster. And yeah, negativeZero has just ran out of stuff, so it seems that Deimos is going to take this one just on the counter swing. And what looked like a bit of a dicey situation turned out all right for Deimos. I was worried when it didn't respond to losing its gateway and cybercore early on, but in the end, just its counter push was great, and then it kept its units alive, which is a very important thing. negativeZero just wasn't able to do that. And so yeah, ladies and gentlemen, if you enjoyed this one, go ahead and click that like button if you haven't already. I might add like a little micro tournament to the end of this video. You guys can let me know how you feel about those. And then just, yeah, subscribe. Consider becoming a YouTube member if you want to support this content. It definitely goes a long way. And yeah, it is cool to see that these two bots, they sort of play a similar style. But Defender's advantage, like in all mirror matchups, is quite a big factor. And I mean, that's probably why Deimos came out ahead. negativeZero just lost too many units. I'll load up a micro tournament match for just to pad the video a little bit. So stay tuned and check out some cool micro. Okay, so here we are, ladies and gentlemen. We have got Replicator, a Terran bot, taking on Sharkles, programmed by Sharkbot. Marines versus Stalkers. If, in theory, Stalkers should win this one, given unlimited ground. However, there's a lot of Marines, so they could potentially corner them. So one Stalker dies, but still 3 remain. And now they've been able to turn around, basically. And they should just be able to outrun these Marines, as I believe Sharkles takes round 1. And this is, I believe, a 10, best of 10, I want to say, something like that, for these matches. Now they'll do a rematch on the opposite side, and we'll see if Replicator can have a bit more success. It had a good start trying to corner down the Stalkers. Well, it got the first Stalker, but then just, since all the Marines were distracted, they kind of got pinned down, and so here we have them trying to chase down the remaining 3 Stalkers, but Marines versus Stalkers doesn't seem like a winning match for the Marines, for the most part. I mean, there was a lot of Marines to start that off, and maybe if they formed up like a line or something, they could have captured the Stalkers. This is going to look a little bit better. Pulling up that upgrades tab, these are concussive shell Marauders against mass Stalkers. The Stalkers actually getting super aggressive, just targeting down the Marauders, and so far, only 1 Stalker has died, but these Marauders, they do put out a lot of damage, but still, the Stalkers really spread the damage out on them, and Sharkles actually wins yet another micro battle. This is a lot of Stalkers against a lot of Marauders. It's crazy how aggressive Sharkles has been, as the Marauders, they definitely are missing some firing time. I feel like that's a bit too much walking, not enough shooting. And wow, look at that. Stalkers taking down Marauders. The injured Stalkers kind of going in the back, but not quite what I expected. This time we have got Zealots and Adepts against mass Marines. Once more, in theory, the Marines should kite back against this, and they're going to be doing just that, so maximizing firepower while minimizing damage taken. The more they fan out, the better I think it will be. Not many Zealots have died, however, the Marines do have a good arc to the north. Still, though, quite a few Protoss units remain against like 6 Marines. But still, the Marines, they have the range. They're just kiting. A Zealot dies, another Zealot dies. 1 Adept is very low, so now just an Adept and just 1 Zealot. Okay, there's no way Replicator should lose this one. So Replicator gonna get its first victory in this micro battle. It's now 4-1, but it's a repeat on opposite sides, which I think is cool. It lets us explore the engagement a little more. I don't think the sides really actually has much to do with it. And let's see here, as these Marines are getting chased down, it looks like the angle is a little bit worse for Replicator this time, though. So, I mean, maybe there is some more factors in this than we thought, as it does seem that Sharkles is actually going to win this engagement. So, Replicator only able to get 1 win. Now we've got Hellions and Marines against Stalkers and Zealots. Stalkers will do very well against the Hellions, but Marines have good firepower. Hellions are great against Zealots. Nice fanning out by Replicator so far. It hasn't lost too many units, and once these Zealots are gone, these units can, in theory, collapse on top of the Stalkers, but I mean, the Hellions, they're not necessarily maximizing their firepower on one target. And so the Stalkers do seem to be doing quite well in this battle. And yeah, what a slaughter this has been so far. Sharkles just taking Replicator to the cleaner, it seems. Yeah, maybe Replicator needs a bit more... needs a few changes on its programming with the Hellions. I mean, it dealt with the Zealots quite alright, but then, yeah, it didn't really collapse on top of the Stalkers like it needed to, I don't think. Beautiful concave for the Marines. For the Hellions. Hellions soaking damage is the important thing, keeping the Marines alive as they actually deal damage to the Stalkers. I think there's a few more Terran units this time, so this one may be looking up for Replicator. We'll see, although Sharkles does prioritize targeting down those Marines, then leaving the Hellions to be kind of limp for the most part against Stalkers. And so Sharkles is going to have a massive lead in this. We've got Marines and Marauders with Stim Pack for Sharkles against Zealots and Stalkers. Let's see how this one goes. There's the Stim. The Zealots do have charge, though, so the bio does just have to fan out, and look at that beautiful fanning out. I'm not sure if Stim benefits or hurts the Terran. It does seem like it benefits. There's also Concussive Shell on these Marauders. The Stalkers do have Blink, though, so the injured ones are blinking back, kind of dodging some shots, but that micro is limited, and it looks like Replicator will win another one. The machine micro on the bio, just instantly stimming away from the charging Zealots, is very, very cool. And let's see here, the bio once again kiting back. I think the Concave may be a little worse this time, but still retreating. Concussive Shell really helping against the Zealots. All the Zealots are gone, so now it's just on the bio. I think that this one's going to be a little bit closer here, though, as the Stalkers are injured and retreating. Yeah, there's not that many Marauders left. I don't know what really changes to make it so that Sharkbot wins that, but then a little bit of BM by Sharkbot and it takes the game. If you guys enjoyed this micro battle, let me know in the comments down below, and I'll keep casting more of them. Thanks for watching.